Ross Chastain and Noah Gragson clear the air. Kyle Larson says Chastain may become NASCAR's most popular driver. And BJ McLeod joins the show ahead of Darlington. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Quick announcement before we get going. If you're coming to Darlington Raceway this weekend, be sure to stop by the NASCAR Fan Experience Sunday morning, 10:15 a.m. Yes, it's a bit early. I, along with other YouTube creators that are all part of the podcast Party Bus, the Live Fast Motorsports sponsorship, we will all be there. We'll have our own dedicated space. We'll have hero cards, t-shirts, stickers to give out. We'll talk some racing, take some photos, you name it, but that'll be 10:15 a.m. Sunday, the NASCAR Fan Experience. You can't miss it. Hope to see a bunch of y'all out there at the racetrack this Sunday. Now, let's talk about Ross Chastain once again. To be fair, it's because there's new information. Actually, before we talk about Ross Chastain's appearance on the Pat McAfee Show, Matt Kenseth yesterday was named one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers. I have to take a moment to acknowledge this, being arguably the biggest Matt Kenseth fan on the internet. Well deserved, no doubt. 2003 champion, two-time Daytona 500 champion. I think he's still 22nd, maybe 21st on the all-time wins list. Rookie of the year, well deserved. Matt Kenseth crawled out of his cave to make a rare tweet yesterday, and he said, "As honored as I am to make this exclusive list, I am equally disappointed that my good friend Jimmie Johnson was excluded. He had a solid career and I really feel like he belongs here, number 74. Yes, Matt Kenseth brings up a good point there. I believe there's just one spot left on NASCAR's list, and honestly, by the time this video comes out, maybe NASCAR will have already made it official, but I think everyone expects Jimmie Johnson to get that 75th and final spot. I mean, obviously, right? He's arguably the best ever. He's arguably number one, so for sure he will be recognized as one of NASCAR's 75 best. But as a Matt Kenseth fan, they sure kept me in suspense for a long time, and they're kind of doing the same for Jimmie fans. But rest assured, Jimmie Johnson will be named one of NASCAR's 75 greatest. Well deserved, though, for Matt Kenseth. Okay, moving on. Ross Chastain earlier today was on Pat McAfee's live show. He streams it live on YouTube to 40,000 concurrent viewers. His total audience is, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Chastain is the second NASCAR driver in the past few weeks to appear on Pat McAfee's very popular show. Chase Elliott was on a few weeks ago when NASCAR was busy promoting the whole Chase Elliott is back campaign. Pat McAfee Show is not a NASCAR show. They know virtually nothing about stock car racing, but they have a huge platform. They're willing to learn, and just from what I saw, I thought Ross Chastain came across really well to what's likely an audience of mostly casual sports fans. So as someone who's always looking for NASCAR to promote its drivers, who's looking to promote the sport to new audiences, I thought that Ross Chastain segment by and large came across very, very well. But that's not the point. That's not what I'm here to talk about. Ross Chastain actually said something very interesting while on the show. He said that both he and Noah Gragson have talked since their viral fight last Sunday. If we can even really call it a fight, it was a grab and then a punch and then security broke it up. Chastain said that he and Gragson have talked multiple times and now they laugh about the incident together. Here's what Chastain said.
We're good. We talked on Monday on the phone, and then we were together testing some micro sprint cars Monday night. We've worked out together this week. It's good. It's done and over with, and we've been able to move on and laugh about it now. Weren't exactly laughing on Sunday.
Ross Chastain said on Sunday, he and Noah Gragson have a good relationship. They've been around each other. They've been working together for a good amount of time. I'd be curious to hear Noah Gragson's perspective. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to hold too many grudges. I mean, He's gotten into numerous fistfights in his short NASCAR career already. He's an emotional guy. He'll swing from high to low, but more than anything, Noah's just looking to vibe, I think. So I don't doubt what Ross Chastain is saying there, but I would like to hear it from Noah Gragson's perspective. Is he really laughing about the whole incident just a few days later? Or beneath the surface, is there still some hurt feelings, some apprehension? I don't know, but Ross Chastain sounds like it's all water under the bridge. I led with the Pat McAfee Show clip, partially because Ross Chastain had something interesting to say about Noah Gragson, but also partially because we talk all the time about NASCAR needing new stars, superstars once more. How do we create that star power that NASCAR drivers 20 years ago used to have? The next soundbite I want to react to comes from Kyle Larson. A lot of people didn't know this, but Kyle Larson, Brad Sweet, Dylan Welch have a new podcast. They've only done 3 or 4 episodes. It's called The High Limit Room, named after and related to their all-new High Limit Sprint Car series that Larson and Brad Sweet co-founded. But yes, Kyle Larson does have a podcast now, and on this week's episode, he talked a little bit about the finish at Kansas between him and Denny Hamlin. Larson strikes me as pretty easygoing, and that's how he comes across in this episode. Like, he was quick to say, yeah, Denny Hamlin was a lot faster than me. I was really loose. In fact, I got a little loose going into turns 1 and 2 on that last lap. I was trying to ride the wall, to ride that cushion of air and maintain any level of grip. He was quick to take blame off of Denny Hamlin, but then he did conclude the segment by saying, quote, I guess the only thing I get frustrated with on his podcast, Denny Hamlin says I race a certain way, but I've never had to reach out to him to apologize about anything. I've wrecked off his front bumper more than a few times now. So definitely some hurt feelings there, but then Larson wraps up by saying that the only time he ever really gets angry, behind the wheel of a stock car at least, is when he feels someone wrecked him intentionally. And Larson says he does not believe really any of the incidents he's had with Hamlin were done intentionally. It's just hard, aggressive racing. So Kyle Larson, this is kind of like Noah Gragson. I'd like to know how Noah Gragson really feels below the surface. Kyle Larson on this podcast, he sounds okay. Disappointed for sure, but not angry, not really that frustrated. But beneath the surface, is Larson mad? Maybe. I know he and Denny are good friends. Perhaps that changes things. Perhaps that makes things a bit more difficult. Anyway, he talked about the Kansas deal. He also talked about Ross Chastain. And this is a clip I saw Jeff Gluck, reporter, he was sharing on social media. Got a lot of folks talking. But here's what Kyle Larson said about Ross Chastain's potential.
I mean, obviously, like, I was upset with him 2 weeks ago, but I kind of love it. Like, I think Ross is great. I mean, he's like, I think he is sort of like owning it. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm this guy, and I think he's got the potential to be more popular than Chase Elliott. So I think it's awesome. Like, he's moving the needle.
This goes back to the discussion we had earlier in the week. Is Ross Chastain good for NASCAR? And I said it then, I'll say it again now. Yes, absolutely. I don't think that's a controversial take. Larson says Ross is moving the needle. I wholeheartedly agree. Could he become a legit superstar that transcends NASCAR itself? I believe he has that potential, but it's because he's controversial. It's because he makes moves on the racetrack that sometimes angers his competitors, sometimes angers fans of his competitors. If everyone liked Ross Chastain, we wouldn't talk about him so much. He wouldn't get the press that he gets today. He wouldn't be on the Pat McAfee Show. Some people didn't like Jeff Gordon. Some people didn't like Dale Earnhardt. And that conversation, that debate, that controversy helped stock car racing reach its peak in the 90s and early 2000s. Now, will Ross Chastain challenge Chase Elliott for most popular driver? That's a tough one because Chase Elliott has all the Bill Elliott fans that are still around. There's some Jeff Gordon fans that moved over to him, some just General Hendrick fans. So that is a steep mountain to climb. But don't take this the wrong way, Elliott fans. I hope Ross Chastain becomes the sport's most popular driver. I want him to become a true superstar that transcends NASCAR, because even Chase Elliott right now, I don't think he transcends NASCAR. He's popular amongst race fans. Non-race fans, by and large, do not know who Chase Elliott is. I want Ross Chastain to take that next step. NASCAR needs a fresh, new name. Trackhouse is a new name. Ross Chastain is a new name. The last 20 plus most popular driver award winners have been second generation Earnhardt or Elliott's. Earnhardt, Elliott, huge names, very important to NASCAR's history, its present, and its future. But it's time we create the next name. Chastain has that potential. So I hope Ross Chastain becomes the sport's next superstar. I think he's in a great position to make that happen. He's talented, he's running up front, he needs to win some more races. It's actually been over a year, but he is leading the points. I hope Ross Chastain becomes a superstar. I'll still be here to criticize him if he makes careless mistakes. The same way I criticized Hamlin for wrecking J.J. Yeley a few weeks ago. The same way I criticized Ty Gibbs numerous times last year. It's those kinds of debates, discussions, controversy that's going to vault Ross Chastain into superstardom. He's not going to become a star if just everyone likes him. No one wants to watch a movie where all the main characters agree with each other and there's no conflict. Don't shy away from disagreement, differences of opinion. That's what's going to build Ross Chastain and NASCAR's brand for many years to come. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below while you're typing that out. I want to bring in BJ McLeod. I've heard that he's actually in the top 10 of All-Star Race fan voting right now. It's still early, but hey, let's hashtag get loud for McLeod. BJ McLeod joins Out of the Groove. Let's bring him in. I'm now joined by the driver of the Live Fast Motorsports number 78, BJ McLeod. BJ, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for making time for me.
Always great to hear from you. I saw today, I think it was today or maybe it was yesterday, it was earlier this week, saw an announcement that you signed a deal with Affliction. I know anyone who's seen you in the garage knows you have a very distinct style, so I guess it seems like a match made in heaven. That's a pretty cool deal.
It absolutely is, and it's a dream deal for me because I've literally wore their product for it was either the first year they come out or the second year they were out, which is almost 20 years now. So it's something I've been after for a while, and with the help of some others, Matt Tift and another Matt, it was a deal that we got put together, and it's really cool for me. And I thought some of the funny comments were people saying, "I thought he already had a deal as much as he wears this stuff." So that's always cool when you can get with a partner that you are extremely passionate about their stuff, and makes it easy to promote it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, like I was joking, I think people see you walk around the garage. You look like a very intimidating figure, I think, at first glance. Where does that style come from? Is that like by choice?
No, I never. This is just the stuff I like.
Yeah.
I've done some other recent interviews, and I remember 5 years old, going shopping with my mom, and she always encouraged me to, dress different and, just be who I am, right? Whatever I feel, whatever I feel like I'm happy in, that's what I would do. So I can remember going shopping with her when I was a little kid. Anything with a skull, I would pick it out. It didn't matter. I would just, there's no meaning behind the skull stuff. It's just literally, I just like it. I like the art. I like the way the graphics look. The skulls are just because I think they look cool.
Simple. Hey, I love that. That's awesome. I love talking to you, BJ, because you're obviously a race car driver, but like you said, you're also a team owner. So I want to ask you a couple questions. First, I want to ask you as a driver, I know the team has been through some changes from last year, this year. We've seen maybe some upticks in performance here and there. What has been the biggest difference that you've noticed as a driver?
Just the drivability of our cars on the weeks we hit it right. Vegas and California, we really haven't had a car that good since Josh, not with me driving. Josh had a really good car at Coda. Yeah. And then, we had a mishap in practice at Kansas this weekend, and ended up having a really bad day in the race because the car was still bent up from the wreck, and just things you can't help, right? So, Josh had a really good Coda. Anthony Alfredo had a really good Richmond. I had a great Vegas and California, and it's like just getting to know what, a better car feels like to drive, because nothing against teams I've drove for, or most of them are my own, right? It's just, we've always been lower budget, and you don't have the information to ever really have 100% effort. And you don't know what, a Kyle Busch is driving, or a Kevin Harvick, or, any of these guys, Kyle Larson, William Byron, any of the front runners. I don't know exactly what the car is supposed to feel like, right? No matter what car it is, it's on edge. I mean, Kyle Larson puts his car past the edge a lot and still makes it look good, right? So you're always on edge no matter what, but it's, having that speed while you're on edge is something that it's, before it's been difficult to even know what the goal is. And this year we've been fortunate enough to, we had a really good run in California. We ended up a lap down because of a pit road mishap on the last green flag stop. But if it wasn't for that, we'd have finished 19th or 20th. And that would have been a huge win for our team without, I think there was 2 or 3 cars worth of attrition that day. So, it's definitely been fun getting to feel, what a better car drives like. And we're just trying to be more consistent as a team to put that on the track every week we go.
Yeah, the switch to Chevy this year seems to be paying some early dividends, added speed. BJ, you told me a couple weeks ago when we were on that live stream that, since you've started owning NASCAR teams, which it's been, I think, almost like a decade now, you said that time feels like it's just flown by. So I want to ask you, what's the biggest thing you've learned either about the business, about yourself, or just about anything, I guess, during these past handful of years?
It's hard to pinpoint one thing, but it goes back to, I really knew this, but it's fun and interesting to see it develop more over the years. Is you're only as good as the people around you. and you're nothing without them. It's just that simple. And that's for the guy that's winning on Sunday. That's the guy that's winning on Saturday, Friday. Doesn't matter if you're 30th. Like you have to have the right people around you. And part of the learning part is how difficult it is to make that happen. Anything I did before NASCAR, I needed a couple people to help me as far as business stuff, and we had it covered. It's with this deal. Even our little cup team, we need 15 really good, dedicated people to help build this thing year over year. And I know that sounds like a low amount of people when you consider it or compare it to let's say a track house that I'm going to guess has 90 employees for 2 cars right now. So, that seems like a small number, but it's very hard to produce that many good people that want to work and build a small team. So, I think, not so much learning, but just reiterating and living the fact that you have to make sure you're surrounded by good people to succeed. And I've been fortunate enough to have some really good people help me get to where I'm at, stick with me and work on helping make us better. I want to help them too. Like I want to give them more as an owner, and I want to work towards what we all want. And it just takes time, and that's difficult. That's the hardest process to learn and live.
No doubt. Absolutely. Well, speaking for myself, I'm excited to be a small part of the team this weekend at Darlington. Can you tell us a little bit about what makes Darlington Raceway so unique? We hear it's too tough to tame, Lady in Black. It's got more nicknames than anything. But what is it about Darlington that you either love or that you kind of dread going there?
I love everything about Darlington. It's my favorite racetrack. If I had to pick only one, there's obviously different tracks you like for different reasons. Indianapolis Oval, I could say, is a favorite. Dover's a favorite. There's Daytona 500, that track, that race, always top of the list, right? But when you just put it in, if I had to pick one to race at, it's going to be Darlington. And it's because it's narrow. It's got less grip on one end than the other. It's got less grip in the bottom lane or the center lane or the top lane than the other, right? Like there's just nonstop changing and hunting stuff. And as the rubber builds up in the race, you're trying to find it, make sure you're on it. And now they did a repave, basically center of 1 and 2 off of turn 2, I think 3 years ago now. And like, not so much with the Cup car, but with the Xfinity car, the first year I drove with that repave, you would actually start to spin the car out before you hit the new pavement because you knew the new pavement would catch you and straighten you up. So you're literally putting the car into a spin, counting on hitting the pavement in time to straighten it up, right? So it's just that the speed that the track carries for the odd shape that it is and how narrow it is makes it an awesome adrenaline rush and a blast to drive every lap, even if you're by yourself. I mean, you can go out there and run 20 laps by yourself, you're going to hit the fence. If you're trying 100% every lap, you're going to brush the wall. And at the end of a fuel run, it's just the way it works. But I think all of that together just makes the place awesome. And then one reason I always put Daytona up there in the Brickyard, the Indianapolis Oval, is because of the history of the tracks. Well, Darlington's got that same history, right? Like it goes back to the beginning, and it's a track that all of our greats have driven, and it's just it's a lot of fun to be a part of that.
Well, speaking as a fan, it's fun to watch. It's jumped up my list of favorite tracks the past few years since I finally got to check it out a few years back. It's phenomenal racing from the grandstands.
Hey, now that they've got the onboards that you can tune into and watch out the front window, do that, and it'll make you love it even more.
I like that. Hey, good advice. That's a good tip. My last question, BJ, Darlington's exciting on its own, but they've also the added wrinkle of throwback weekend. And I feel bad. We're not running technically a throwback paint scheme, but I want to ask you if you could pick any paint scheme from history to pay tribute to run for maybe a future throwback weekend. Do you have one in your mind that you would jump at? I think didn't you do a throwback to one of your old late models? I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't even want to do that. That was everybody else around me. I'm not a fan of running my own stuff. I'm just not that guy. I don't wear my own t-shirts. I wear the hat because I'm proud to be a part of Live Fast, but if it had BJ on it anywhere, I wouldn't wear it. So I didn't get into running my own throwback. It was a cool looking car, but definitely not my idea. I wasn't thrilled about it. But I think that I got to run a Hardy's car, the Days of Thunder movie, Russ Wheeler's car that he drove in the movie. I got to run that throwback with Rick Ware I don't remember what year it was. It's probably 18 or 19. But the throwbacks from that movie are awesome. Like that was really cool to get to do that. And it's a fun memory. And I made sure I got a car made of it. Like, I mean, it was just a cool deal, right? Because I was a kid, watched that movie in the theater. I think I was 7 or 8 years old at the time, and then I get to drive a car with that scheme on it, a throwback and draw onto it. It's pretty special.
That's a cool one. Yeah, I love the Days of Thunder when Byron did a throwback to the City Chevrolet. That's really cool. That's great. Well, we're going to see a lot of great throwback schemes on track, and I know the daily downforce out of the groove colors are going to absolutely pop on that 78 car. BJ, thank you so much for being on the show, and I guess we'll see you in a few days, dude. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys being on board. Looking forward to having some fun.
Thank you again to BJ McLeod for coming on the show. Thank you for watching. That's going to do it, y'all. Leave a like if you enjoyed. If you're new to the channel and you love NASCAR, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. We cover it all. And thank you to my Patreon supporters for your very generous and consistent support. Sunday, 10:15 a.m., NASCAR Fan Experience stage. We'll be doing a meetup. We'll be doing giveaways, all sorts of fun stuff. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, y'all. Take care.